This is a white
This
chocolate
is a
production.
homage beat.
Da Vinci, born in Tuscany, his mother a peasant, his father unpleasant, born out of wedlock, his daddy having kids round the clock, in total 12 half-siblings, unaffecting Leo's feelings. At age 14, met up with Verrocchio, you know the man with the big portfolio. He created a bronze little David, although he wasn't very naked. Verrocchio was like the daddy he never had, but he didn't teach him how to make Leo's famous doodads. You know, he drew a copter and had a life that was proper. He's known as a Renaissance man, a guy with a very thought out plan, a painter, scientist, and inventor, but also somewhat of an experimenter. Alright, the seal is back, the feel is back, how the true man gonna feel is back. You know, gotta steal his stack, don't try to conceal the fact, trying to make him too exact. Inscribe within a circle and a square, man, cut the slack. Man, who knows what he thought he'd be? Probably just another fish out under the sea. Who knew his future would all be make-believe, standing out where everyone in the world could see? For Leo was a humanist, somewhat of a revolutionist. He did not see a divide between art and science, but rather used it in order to please his clients. He's got patents everywhere, influencing artists who will always compare. Leo's perhaps the best, and no one will attest. Here, be my guest, so we can give you a test. See if you know right from wrong, or Leo from Cezanne. Let's take it back to the Renaissance. You know his paintings are too sauce, and his Mona Lisa is the boss. Although it was almost at a loss, due to Leo's fumato. You know he painted after Giotto. Let's go back to the 16th century, works that will always be in memory. You know, he painted the Last Supper, depicted a scene that was like no other. Displays the 12 apostles, who were known for their preaching of the Gospels. Who knew that one would betray him, one whose life would be grim, hung himself just one day later. You know he still has his haters. His name is Judas, and he was quite foolish, where he identified Christ with a kiss, so that he couldn't be missed. For Leo was a humanist, somewhat of a revolutionist. He did not see a divide between art and science, but rather used it in order to please his clients. Enough is enough, but Leo and Christ never gave up. They never stopped, like blood drops from my heart they drop. Christ went to heaven while Leo also went to make some weapons. That's right, Leo wasn't just an artist. He went out to look for a job on the market. He sent a letter to Ludovico, the future Duke of Milan, saying that he wasn't just an artist and wouldn't be his pawn, but rather a military genius better than anything he'd ever drawn. Leo thought that observation and sight were the best human traits, that the eyes would always be what dominates. Better to be deaf than blind, so that the realities of the human mind would always be outlined, lay deep behind, lost somewhere within mankind. Leo's art brought out the truth, hit home runs like George Herman the Babe Ruth, but within subliminal messages, through questions, answers, and changing images. He mastered the use of atmospheric perspective. His use of oil paint was highly effective. For Leo was a humanist, somewhat of a revolutionist. He did not see a divide between art and science, but rather used it in order to please his clients. He painted with paint made by hand, made with ground pigment so that he always had command. Started by covering a canvas with a pale neutral color, then layered glazes one over the other. He used a small range of tones in order to create a more cohesive zone. That is all you need to know about Da Vinci. Although there is a class where you will understand art very clearly, it is taught by Mrs. Davidson, someone who has her own definition of fun. She gives minus 5,000 to everyone, but her class is a ball, much funner than Mr. Paul's. She teaches art history, which has taught many things to me, not just art, but about life to a certain degree. The end of my sophomore journey, but just the beginning of a life filled with worries. Goodbye, room 307, you were always worthy. The rest of high school will undoubtedly be a blurry.